These are the best meditation benefits that I can give to you, that I have experienced in my hundreds of days of meditation. So back when I was 13 years old, or just before 13 years old, I buzzed my hair like I did now. And that was insane for me because I was always the one with really long hair, like down to here, or even it got down to my shoulders. And so one day I show up at school and I'm shaved completely. I did that for monk mode because I'd gotten onto self-improvement for about a month, and then I realized this is what I need. This is what I need to change my life. And meditation was a key aspect in that growth and that feeling of my life is going to change. And I think if you start meditating consistently, your life will drastically change. In this video, I'm going to tell you the benefits that you will experience through consistent meditation, and I'll teach you how to meditate. And we'll even go further into the higher levels of meditation, like longer sessions and breath work. So, meditation will change your life. I'm going to explain how to do it, why it will change your life, and what you will experience. And before we go any further, I'm going to give you an actionable step right now that I'm going to do with you. Close your eyes. Don't skip past this part. Just listen. I've meditated for hundreds of days. I meditated for an hour a day for almost 400 days in a row. I know what I'm talking about. Close your eyes. Let's do this together. I'm going to count for 3 breaths. Try to clear your mind. If your mind wanders, just bring it gently back to your focus. Your focus can be on my voice. It can be on your breath. It can be on a feeling, a sensation you're feeling. It can be on a smell. Just try to focus on one thing. So close your eyes right now. Let's do this. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Congratulations. Everyone watching this, clap for that person and clap for yourself. You just meditated for the first time. You probably noticed that your mind wandered a lot, and that's completely normal. For most people, you start to meditate in a dark stage in your life because you're looking for something to improve your life. You're looking for something to help you better yourself and better your mind. And so one of the things people look for is mindfulness and the traits and benefits that we're going to go through in this video. And they find that through meditation. And so when most people start out, they start out in a position where yesterday they scrolled on TikTok or Instagram for 5 hours. Your mind, through short form content, has been trained to look for trained to work best in those 15-second to minute-long intervals. So that's what your mind is set up to be like. If you don't get that hit of stimulation in speaking to someone, you start to fidget and look around, trying to find something that will give you a bit of dopamine. When you're in class, you can barely focus on the teacher and the work at hand, so you've got to have an AirPod in and listen to music. I don't listen to music all day long. I do occasionally, but I've deleted Spotify. I'm not listening to music. You need it in class. You cannot control yourself for more than an hour at a time. So it will be hard. Your mind will leave your focus, but you are not your mind. You can control your mind, especially you will gain more control over your mind through meditation in the long term. But if you feel your mind drifting, It's a gentle process of bringing it back. Think of a river flowing. This river is your mind, it's your focus. And then a random block of like a video you saw on Instagram or Andrew Tate shouting at the camera. It comes down, it distracts you, but just think of it flowing through and flowing out of you. It flows out of your breath when you breathe out. The goal of meditation is not to keep your mind completely clear. It is to bring your focus back when it is lost. That is one rep. Like in the gym, you do your push-ups, you do your exercises, you do your reps. Bringing your focus back. Not keeping your focus, but bringing your focus back is where the real value comes in. First benefit that I'm going to tell you about. So, in Miyamoto Musashi's book, he's an ancient samurai who died hundreds of years ago, who left us books and rules to live by. I have many of his rules on my walls. This is one of the papers with a lot of his rules on it. And he came up with the void. It's a mindset. So his Book of Five Rings is a book with 5 rings, and each ring represents an element. There's water, wind, earth, fire, and void. Now I'll talk about void a little bit more later. You've probably not heard of it that much. Then you might know the flow state term. I'll go through this a bit later, but you might have heard of flow state. It's a common term for a lot of people. But then the most common one that you hear a lot of athletes speak about is the zone. When people get into the zone. And all 3 of these terms are the same thing. It's basically, if you do a sport, if you've ever done a sport, or you study, you're into studying, or you're on a walk, there are these moments where your mind kind of leaves. It's like it flatlines. But it's not like your mind is completely gone. It's just like you're not thinking. You're in a completely still, silent, peaceful zone. I'll read my notes from the void part of the Book of Five Rings, so that you can get a little bit of a better understanding, but I'm trying to explain it without giving away what I'm about to say. It's like a free zone. So when you're in the ring training boxing or training your martial art, and you get hit, it's not like you're thinking something. When you choose your attacks, you're not saying, okay, I'm going to do a jab now, and then you do a jab. It's like you see the moment and you go for it. It's unconscious, subconscious action. So let me read you notes from my journal back a long time ago on this topic. Okay. So this is the void. And this void term will summarize the flow state and the zone. So, everything in the universe will be revealed to a person as they desire it to be. This is what Musashi has written. Or these are my notes on what he's written. Our ego and perception of the world, ourselves and others, get in the way of our understanding a thing for what it really is. I think it was Adam Watts. Is that his name? Adam Watts said, each one of us is an aperture through which the universe is looking at itself. There's nothing personal, just pure art. So that's what Yuri Prohaska, a professional fighter who follows the way and gets into this void flow state, a lot said when he finished his opponent with a spinning elbow. So he did a full 360 spin around and elbowed the guy in the face. And he was asked what if he planned that out, and he said it was just flow. It was just pure art. So that's basically when your ego and your mind leaves and you don't really think about hurting the person. There's nothing personal, no matter what the person said in this fight. It was just him acting on what he'd learned and what he'd practiced. And what he'd practiced was an art. So he was saying it was just pure art. Understanding the way is to understand yourself. Musashi said, seek nothing outside of yourself. He said, there's nothing outside of you that can better you. Everything is within. These are the next things I'm going to say are the most pertinent things in terms of meditation benefits. So the void is not emptiness, darkness, or haze. It's not an empty mind. It's not darkness, or it's not haze. It is the opposite. It is where there's nothing. So there's not darkness, there's not haze, there's not emptiness, there's just nothing. It's the difference between closing your eyes and blindness. So I saw this thing while I was scrolling on TikTok years ago. For some reason, it still stuck out to me. But if you close one eye, if you close both your eyes, you imagine that's how a blind person sees. When in fact, if you close one eye, try to describe what you see out of that eye. It's not darkness, it's not haze, it's not emptiness, it's just nothing. You just can't see anything. And so that blindness is the void where there's nothing. Closing your eyes, there's darkness, there's haze, there's emptiness. So the void is where there's nothing. The haze, the fog, the impurity, the hesitation is lifted, and all options become available. That's when that spinning elbow came in very useful. This came in very useful to carry that out, because all options became available. Maybe he'd practiced that once, or that flowed out of him during training, and so in the void, it became an option, just like that. So all hesitation is lifted, all options become available, and then you can flow, like the flow state says. As you practice the way, which is Musashi's code of living in solitude, discipline, focus, and honor, and giving yourself fully to a craft. As you practice the way, the void will open up to you. And in the final couple of sentences Musashi wrote in his Book of Five Rings Scrolls, he wrote, there is good, not evil in the void. There is wisdom, there is reason, there is the way, the mind empty. What that brings me to is Musashi's way of Mushin. So right there I have a Japanese artwork that I made myself with like water, food coloring, and very little amounts of paint. And it says Mushin. And Mushin is what Musashi wrote as kind of the void. And it translates to no mind. I guess you could say that's where you're not thinking, or there's emptiness, but it's more like there is the flow and the nothingness in the void. So those two things correlate. Now, why is this state very valuable to have? Well, because if you're an athlete, if you're reading a book, if you're studying, if you're trying to listen in class, if you're speaking to someone. For example, me, I try my best not to have thoughts in my mind, because then whatever I've learned and whatever I'm trying to teach you will just flow out of me. But it's kind of difficult because I'm a bit new to speaking, in this flow kind of manner. But anything you're doing, if you're a musician, an athlete, a student, anything, this will pertain to your craft. Having a mindset, a mind space that you can get into when you're just sitting on stage and strumming the guitar, or you're playing the drums, or you're in a professional fight, or if you're taking the test, or if you're operating on a patient, whatever it is, this state is where there's nothing in your mind, and just everything becomes available. If everything is available because you've practiced it so much, you will incorporate it and become it. So if you study something small like a leaf as if it were the universe itself, then when it is required of you to share your knowledge or take a test on your knowledge, it will flow out of you like the universe. The universe will flow out of you. And everything you've learned will just spill. It will spill out of you without you needing to really give yourself direction or guidance. And so even if you're not doing a professional thing right now, or you're just trying to find that thing for you, speaking to people, when you speak to people, if you turn your brain off, honestly, if you turn your brain off, your interactions with people will become a lot better. It's not because still watch yourself. Don't keep swearing. Don't use inappropriate language. Just don't talk modernly. Don't be an idiot. So still choose your words wisely. But if you're in that no mind state, where there's nothing in your mind and you're just responding with what you think, with what the universe thinks, or God, if you believe in a God, what they think is best coming from your mind, they will flow it through and out your mouth and to speak to this person, which means you'll give the best answer you could give to whatever they're saying. And that's really powerful. Of course, as well, if you're doing a profession, maybe you're writing a book, maybe you're writing poems, whatever it is, the universe or your God or the gods will choose this thing that you've practiced, and it will flow the best possible option out of you. And this is what happens when you meditate. Because once you've gotten into consistent meditation, it is so much easier to flip yourself into, or just submerge yourself, lose yourself fully into that void state. And I felt this very recently. I've had some of the best meditation sessions. My mind has been right back, hold it out, right back. I've been having some of those really high quality, good meditation sessions where you can just smile and be proud of yourself. So it becomes easier to access these states when you've meditated for a while. Now, in a more casual sense, the void and the flow state, the zone, is a very intense state that you get in when you're quite often in a life or death situation, like in a professional fight. It may not be life or death, but your body reacts to it as if it was a life or death situation. If you run across a bear or a dangerous animal, or you get into a street altercation, someone with a knife, someone trying to attack you, your mind enters that fight or flight state. And that is a forced, maybe not healthy, and a forced version of these states. And that's just an example of how extreme this state is. So you cannot keep it up the whole day. If you did, at the end of the day, you'd have a massive headache, you'd be sweating, your eyes would be racing, you'd barely go to bed. And so what is the more commonly found or noticed, because I've meditated for a while, I'm quite aware, And I've noticed that this is the state that you're in, or the trait that you get from consistent meditation that's not as intense as flow state. So you don't need to get into that flow state all the time, but just to go on a walk and have mindfulness. Now that's what the next benefit is, mindfulness. Another word for this could be presence, like Eckhart Tolle in his books, or when he speaks, says, wherever you are, be there fully. And that's like, be there with your body. You're there, of course, but fully in your mind, be there. Feel the chair under you, feel your clothes, feel the vibrations of the people speaking to you go into your ears, feel your breath, react to what they say correctly, have an open body posture, emit the best energy you can, like be there fully. I do this a lot. I'm a victim of my own mind in doing this, which I have to work on a lot. But you're in a place where you're not really enjoying it. And so you want to think of something else. You want to do something else. You don't want to be there fully. But there was a study done on people to find when they were the most happy. And of course, happiness is fleeting. You can have it 15 seconds, for 15 seconds, and 15 seconds later, you're the most angry person on the planet. Or you're bawling your eyes out after that. So emotions are kind of all over the place. If you're a woman, it's understandable. It's in your nature. It's the feminine. But for a man, it can be a bit confusing to have to strive for these emotions, because you never know when they're going to leave, or you never know when they're going to come. But either way, there was a survey on basically a notification on their phone for a lot of people to give them a scale of their happiness level and what they were doing. No matter what you were doing, when you see that notification, stop what you're doing, grab your phone, and do the survey. And it found that people who were the least happy were in an environment where they were the least present. So they were the least there, mind and body. And this was in traffic. So a lot of people are in traffic and they're thinking about the work they did. They're thinking about what they want to do when they get home. They're thinking, oh, maybe I should watch TV. I want to watch TV, but I shouldn't. In Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, he talked about the should and want mind, and how monks distinguish these two things. So when they were in a position where they were not present, they were the least happy. When they were doing something they could flow in, let's say art, they were flowing with their paintbrush, they were flowing with their pencil, whatever it was, they were the most happy. Once again, in this book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, he talks about a monk, I believe, it was a while back, I read this, but he was talking about a monk or a person who had done extensive, long, intense meditation sessions for their entire life. And they did a test on the hormones, the mind's activity and reactions. And they found that this man, through mindfulness meditation, had become biologically the happiest man alive. Through this presence, this mindfulness, this focus on one thing, it was probably his breath, or like the feeling on his fingers when he was meditating, or something like that. Whatever it was, his focus, his being there fully, was what created his mind to release serotonin, the happiness hormone, likely dopamine, the reward hormone, that's saying, I like this, keep doing this. And the serotonin hormone basically saying, we love this. He became biologically, in his mind, the most happy person in the world. Just from mindfulness meditation. Now, of course, he'd been doing it for a very long time. But I can vouch for this. On my first few days of meditation, I still have my journal where I wrote out the whole day. And I'd have the window open, the sun was coming in, I had my robe on, I was on my bed. I'd just made my bed. The first bit of the first bit of discipline that I'd had in almost my whole life to make my bed. I sat on it and I meditated for 5 minutes. My mind loved it. Now, of course, your dopamine. Don't get mixed up with serotonin, happiness, and dopamine, reward. Dopamine has nothing to do with how much you're enjoying that. It may, actually, but it has less to do with it than serotonin. People think dopamine is the happiness hormone. It's not. It's the thing that rewards you for what you're doing, or wants to reward you more. So if you're sitting, you're comfortable, you're eating, you're watching a show while you're eating, or you're scrolling, your mind says, we're not in a rush to find food. We don't need to work. We don't need to fulfill our purpose. We don't need to fulfill our mission. We don't need to do any work. It can kind of relax, and that comfortable feeling is what will release dopamine. It's your mind saying, let's keep doing this. Because, of course, hard things are scary. Sometimes they can be scary, like when I do martial arts and I'm getting hit in the face. My mind often tells me, if I don't kill this person, I will be killed. That's not what my mind actually tells me. I'm not thinking that. Of course, I've got no mind during that. So I'm not thinking of anything. But like biologically, if you get hit in the face, that's a big deal. Because what animals could hit you in the face? Like a kangaroo? And if you get hit in the face, maybe you run into a tree, what animals are nearby that are going to kill you? If you got hit in the face, what if you have a scratch and you could get infected and die? I've lost where I am. So it can be scary, and your dopamine doesn't want to reward you for that moment because it thinks that was a bad moment. And it was like, oh, we almost died. Let's not do that again. But then for this comfort thing, it gives you a spike of dopamine. Let's keep doing this. That's that increase. Let's keep doing this. Keep doing that. It's comfortable. It's fun. We're not even enjoying it. It's fun. Let's keep doing that. And then once you end it, it drops back down. But here's the interesting thing. Let's say this is your baseline. You get a nice big increase. You watch TikTok for 5 hours. Nice big increase. Your mind loves it. Let's keep doing that. Keep doing that. And then when you finally decide to get off the app, it goes down. But it doesn't just go down to the baseline. It goes under your baseline. And what that does overall is decrease your baseline. That's why when you're watching so many reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts, or these short form content videos for so many hours, your mind kind of gets fed up. You've, in a way, used your motivation. It said keep doing it, you kept doing it. You kind of lose that motivation to keep scrolling. So when you get to actual work and you have to go train now, you've wasted all of your motivation, so you cannot go do that work, or at least it's a whole bunch harder to do. On the other hand, when you're doing something that's difficult, let's say you're training, you're studying, you're doing something that's not quick dopamine, that's not giving you that spike right away. It may be very painful in the moment. It may actually be excruciating in the moment. You meditate for 5 minutes, which is pushing yourself. And your mind's fluctuating. You don't know if it's working. You're not liking it because it's difficult. You want to think about something. It's very difficult. So it doesn't go up. Your mind's not like, yeah, let's keep doing this. It's like, we got to get out of here. We got to stop doing this. This is difficult. This may hurt us. So it goes down. Your dopamine goes down. You're not motivated to do it. But then it comes back up, and it doesn't just reach the baseline. It goes beyond the baseline and increases your baseline. An example of this is, have you ever been tired and not wanted to train? Oh, I'm not going to go to training. I'm really tired today. When you do your push-ups or you do your training, after it, you're energized. Why could this be? Maybe it's because you're putting your body in a stress state, so your body's like, all right, I got to push this or else I may be crushed or something. You know, that biological stuff. Or it might be your reward system. You've done something that your mind might not want to do. It's saying, we got to stop doing this. But then once you're done, it's like, okay, let's do that again. That was fine. We gained from that. And so your serotonin may be all over the road, but your dopamine will react in these ways. That's why you feel so little motivation to do anything after you've scrolled or you've listened to too much music or something that's giving you too much quick dopamine. Something that's too easy, too comfortable, too fun. Yeah. And that's why you may feel very motivated to do something, or even more happy to do something, once you've read for 30 minutes, or you've meditated for 10 minutes, or you've journaled out your gratitude. Gratitude is another lovely way to induce mindfulness and presence into your mind, which we will go over later on. But that mindfulness is good for your happiness and your dopamine levels. So that is like a biological thing that dopamine affects that will really greatly benefit you. If you meditate for a long time, every day, let's say you give yourself the goal of 20 minutes a day for a year, you will become biologically a whole bunch more motivated, more happy, more fulfilled, more proud of yourself, just from sitting in silence and doing that gentle movement of focus, shifting your focus back. So if you want a more detailed description and video on how to meditate, I have a video on my channel. If you go check that out right now, it's called Meditation for Idiots, Learn to Meditate. And I went into detail of how to meditate in depth in that video. And I've got a few other ones on my channel if you want to go check those out. There are also a lot of videos on YouTube that can teach you. I really only needed one video, and then I just got to the action because it was really, really affecting my damaged brain. And so that's why I'd suggest you to start as soon as possible. So yes, happiness, biologically and just emotionally. After you meditate, you smile. It increases your happiness. Your dopamine is greatly affected by it. Your body doesn't want to do it. You lose that motivation to do it. But then it comes straight back up and you increase your baseline and you feel you increase your mind's dopamine like storages level so that you can feel more motivated to do other things in your life. So now gratitude. This type of happiness, this newfound motivation, the presence and mindfulness that you get from this meditation, you'll start to look around and you'll notice what you have. You used to be thinking, I want that car, look at that person's dress, look at what that person's wearing, look what that person's driving, look at that house I want to get. But now that you look around and you're aware that I have my books, I can learn. I have a floor to sleep on. Maybe you have a bed if you're lucky. You got a pillow to support your head. You've got clothing to wear. Maybe you go to a school or you have a job. Maybe you have a phone. Lucky bastard. You start to feel grateful for what you have. Another cool practice that I preach is gratitude journaling. So right here, I've got my notes for the video that I'm recording just now. But here's a little bit of my gratitude for today. I've written about things that I'm grateful for, and I've gone into detail. So my kind of method of gratitude journaling is I'm grateful for my thing because this, and that leads to this, which creates this. You kind of write it like a full sentence. You may possibly do I am grateful for, and then bullet points, this desk, my new book, my guitar, or things like that. But I feel that it's really, really a lot more beneficial to write it down in your journal. The next step with gratitude is writing it down or typing it on your phone and sending it to the person you're writing about. And that's next level. I've probably done that to one person in my couple of years of self-improvement. But I should do it more often. I should definitely do it more often. So that's that. Even not journaling or talking to someone about how grateful you are for them. When I was on a hike, I did this 13 Peaks hike where I got a certificate. It's in my closet right now. I got a certificate. We did a 112-kilometer hike, basically around Hout Bay, where I used to live in Cape Town, South Africa. We went over Table Mountain, Lion's Head, Little Lion's Head, and all the way around Noordhoek, back to the same position that we were before over 4 days. And on that hike, I was like, oh, I got to do my gratitude journaling. I'm not able to do it. We're always on the move. I'm probably going to get home at like 7, and I'm not going to have time to meditate and gratitude journal. And then I start looking around, and I'm like, I am grateful for the people who came up on this mountain, despite whatever weather there was at the time, and they laid these planks down so that I could have a cleaner and more smooth hike through the mountain. I'm grateful for the people who made these stairs down and up the mountain so we can have a safe way down. I'm grateful for my school for creating this event that I can go on to do this hike. You don't have to write it down. You don't have to tell a person that you're grateful for them, even though it's great. That's very great. You can just look around and think about it. That mindfulness, with your mind being clear, you can just start to breathe in the gratitude, and you can breathe in the trees. I'm grateful for the trees. Who says that? Who looks at you and says, I'm grateful for the trees? Because I can breathe what they emit. Who looks at their desk and says, I'm grateful for this desk because of what I've been able to do on it, and because it looks cool. Like I've got my creations on it. 1 second. I've got my journal. I've got my lamp. I made that in school. I've got my quotes. This is me as a young man. I've got some more quotes. I've got my clay creations. I've got my candles, my books. I am very grateful for my desk. Gratitude, practice it. It comes with meditation and mindfulness. You start to appreciate and have gratitude for the things around you. Let's move on to, I guess I can teach you a little bit in more detail how to meditate, because I was kind of confused. I wanted to know how to sit. I wanted to know how to close my eyes, what posture I should use, where my hand should be, what position should it be in, how long I should meditate. Should I have music on? Where should I meditate? And I'm here to tell you it's internal. Nothing outside of you matters. There's nothing outside of you that can better you, make you more wiser, make you richer, quicker, stronger, faster, nothing. Everything is within. That is another quote from Yumoto Musashi. I kind of butchered it, but whatever. Everything is within. You can be sitting on a chair with your feet crossed and your hands up in the air, and you can meditate like that just fine. My preferred position is legs crossed, sitting down. I usually do it on the floor where I sleep. I sleep on the floor. It's very good for you. I have a video on that. I sleep on the floor. I basically meditate where my bed is. Now, people say separate your daytime life from your bed so that when you get in bed, it's like, okay, I'm going to sleep now. That's great. I'd love to do that in the future. But I don't sleep on a bed. My bed is full of spiders, and there's nowhere else to really meditate. So I just sit there, pillow against the wall, leaning against the pillow, legs crossed, front of the body open. 1 second. In this book, The Way of the Superior Man, by David Deida, he notes that the superior man, the ultimate man, always keeps an open front of the body. From your forehead, down through your chest, through your nose, through your mouth, through your abdominals, down to your pelvic floor. Keep it open. Your thighs shouldn't be too close. It's not good for your balls. It's not good for your sexual health. So keep it open. If you're a man, this is how we're meant to sit. Keep it open. So I like to sit with an open front of the body. My legs are crossed. Hands are usually, I've done up on my knees before. I've done over my knees like this. And I've done this one. And I've also done where they're both like on my inner thighs. My preferred one, however, is just hands right on knees. That's it. Now, like I told you before, the goal is to bring your focus back from it being shifted. That's it. You don't need to overcomplicate it. When a thought comes in, no matter what, just say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus on this. Focus on whatever you want. Maybe light some incense, light a candle, and focus fully on that smell. Maybe focus, if there's a light going into your eyes, maybe you're outside looking at the sun. Maybe if your bedroom light is on. And then if you close your eyes and the inner parts of your eyelids are bright and like orangey, focus on that color. If it's not bright and it's dark and you can see all those patterns and weird things, focus on those. You can rub your fingers together or just feel your pants or your knees. Focus on that. You can open the window and focus on the birds outside, or you can focus on the sound of your breath. You can focus on the feeling of your breath. Whatever it is, focus on one thing. When your focus leaves, just bring it right back. Gently place your focus back on whatever it was before. That's how simple it is. Now you can do it anywhere. You can do it lying down. You can do it standing up. Whatever. It's not about the physical, it's about the mental. So, advancing on to longer sessions and eventually getting into breath work. The longer sessions of meditation will come in eventually. Sometimes you gotta just David Goggins it. When David Goggins was fat, he just decided to go on a 100-mile run, jacked up his body so badly, but he just decided to push super duper hard and just go for it 100%, no matter what he was feeling, no matter what happened, and just lose that weight, become the hardest man alive. You could do that and just decide, all right, no matter what, I'm going to sit down and meditate for an hour, which I've done before. I tried that for the first time and I fell asleep. So if you're trying that, don't lie down. No matter how much your body wants you to lie down, don't lie down. You're going to fall asleep. You could do that David Goggins, just push yourself into the deep end mode, or you could gradually increase. Now, a big mistake I made when I was meditating for an hour every day was I'd sit down for an hour and I'd just be bored. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'll just sit down for an hour and count that as meditation without actually doing that act of meditating. So I'd meditate without meditating. I'd do the physical without doing the mental. And so I basically wasted a bunch of time just sitting and thinking about random things. So if you're going to put yourself up to those big, long sessions, just know that some of my recent 15-minute sessions have been more valuable than those hour-long sessions. It's all about how much you dedicate yourself to placing that focus back into whatever it was placed on before. That's your goal. That's your only goal. That's what's going to give you the real value. If you want to do meditation for an hour a day so you can tell people about it like I did, I'm going to meditate an hour every day so that I can tell people when I'm older that I meditated for an hour every day, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, thanks younger self. I'm grateful you did that. But it was kind of a waste of time. If I could take it back, I wouldn't, and I'm grateful for it. But it could have been 10 times more life-changing if I would have set myself fully to that goal. So it doesn't really matter about the time, the amount of time you sit and meditate. I first got into the obsession with the amount of time that I was meditating on the holiday that I found meditation. So we were off of school for, I think, a month or a couple of weeks. And I meditated for 7 hours in that holiday. The first holiday I'd been on self-improvement for. I was going to go back into school, tell my friends, what did you do on the holiday? I meditated for over 7 hours. I read 15 pages of a new book. What did you do? Play video games? With the gratitude you'll find and this newfound mindset through self-improvement and through meditation especially, competition is a great thing to have. I can run more than you this week. No, you can't. And then you both go run as long as you can and you gain from that. Competition can be a great thing. But doing meditation so that you can tell people that you meditate, it's not the way to go. I've experienced it. I did that for almost 200 days. Strictly because I wanted to tell people that I've meditated an hour a day. So not to repeat myself over and over again, but it's the mental act of moving your focus back and forth, moving your focus back from being out, rather than the physical of sitting down and acting like you're meditating so that you can tell people that you've meditated. You can tell people you've meditated all you want, but they're really going to notice it when you've got that piercing eye contact and when you've got all your focus right on them in your conversation. It's not in telling them that you've meditated for a long time. It's in showing them not what you're saying, but showing them that you can focus on them, you can have no thoughts in your mind while you're speaking, and you can show them the results of your meditation. And that's where the real value and beauty comes in. Meditation is beautiful. I'm not sure what else I have to say. Okay, in my notes I've written down meditation is beautiful. I'm going to list some things, maybe actionable steps that you can focus on next time you're doing these things, or scenarios where meditation will come in and be absolutely life-changing and beautiful for you. So I have never had pets or animals, but in one of my houses before, like we were renting and jumping around a lot. So we had this little house for us five, and we had a little cabin, or cottage, I'd say cottage, on the outside. And it was quite expensive, so we decided to rent that cottage out to people. And a woman came in with two dogs, Timmy and Rosie, these little dogs. I have a picture of them. Forget about the mess. These are my brothers and I with the two dogs. Timmy's really hard to see because of his darkness. And Rosie. Beautiful estate. Beautiful dogs. And we used to get paid to take care of them. Now imagine the beauty, happiness, dopamine, gratitude you'd feel if you can spend that time with your dogs, or with your brothers, or with your mom, your dad, your grandma. When you're present, you're fully there. You can talk to them without being worried about saying the wrong thing or holding back what you really want to say because you're scared. When you've just got that no mind and you're absorbing everything they're saying and giving everything you can say through this mindful flow presence. That is super rewarding. Now, I know what it's like to walk the dogs when your mind is wandering. You don't want to be there. You're wondering why it's so cold outside and why you're taking that job for so little money. You're wondering why your brothers haven't picked up the dog's droppings. But then when your mind is completely clear, everything is great. I'm 15 years old. I've never drank alcohol. I've never smoked. I've never gotten high. And I don't plan to. But I imagine that meditation is like being high. At least giving your mind biologically a high moment. But it's constant. So you feel grateful and happy and great about picking up the dog's droppings, or the dog runs away and you're happy to call them back. You're grateful for these moments and you can fully be there and fully gain everything you can from it. Imagine you pick up a new book and you're reading it, but your mind is wandering and you're not getting as much value as you could get. Maybe you get 20% of the value that is actually there for you. That's great. But if you meditate consistently and you've got that mindfulness and that presence, maybe you get 30, 40, 50, 60% of that book's value. Now, what if that value is life-changing? Or what if that value that you get from that book that you wouldn't have gotten if your mind was wandering? What if that changes your relationships? How you view your work? Maybe it is life-changing information about how to fix your diet. These things that you wouldn't have gotten if your mind was wandering. Even if you just got 10% more information and value from this book, from meditating. And that's a beautiful experience. And of course, socially, you can connect with anyone. If you're completely mindful and present, and I've especially felt this. I was such an introvert. I maybe spoke to 30 people by the time I was 6 years old, which is so few. When someone new came into the house, I basically hugged the back of my dad's leg, and I just wouldn't speak to them, or I'd lock myself in my room. I was never a social person, but if I can just turn my brain off, be present and be there, absorb what they're saying, and flow out what I can say, it's beautiful. You can connect with anyone. You cannot have that ego and fight with them, even if they say something that might be controversial, that you don't think is correct. You can fix in a way their mindset or the way they think in the best way possible, with the best knowledge you have, because you're in that flow state. The best things will flow out of you in that mindful, present flow state. And now the final thing I would like to add, long video, I know. If you've watched this all the way, your mind and your ability to stay focused, your attention span. I should have added that. Your attention span. Oh, I basically did, right? Attention span. Your attention span gets better when you meditate. I kind of added that in the start, right? If you've watched this far and you don't meditate, I commend you. If you meditate, you will be able to do this for much, much, much longer, which is beautiful as well. The final thing I'd like to add is breath work. So meditation is, you don't really do breath work. You don't really work with your breath. Maybe you breathe in and out and you focus on that. Maybe you try to breathe more fully, which is all great. But breath work is a sequence of breathing. So for example, and then breath retentions and breath holds that give you an intense feeling. And if you know the Wim Hof method, Wim Hof, he's the cold exposure breathing and exercise guy. He's cured E. coli, possibly cancer, diabetes with his breath work, which is just 30 to 40 times. Take a big deep breath in, hold for 5 seconds, let it out, hold for as long as you can. In, hold for 5 seconds, let it out. And do that 4 times. That has cured people from dying. So its value is immense. If I could suggest anyone for you to follow to do breathwork, it would be Wim Hof, and Breathe with Sandy. Go check them out right now. That is your actionable step. If you made it this long, I know you have potential, and so I will give you the secret. Go do the breathwork with them. Breathe with Sandy. Breathe with Sandy. Go and breathe with Sandy. And Wim Hof. Do his Wim Hof method of breathing. Cool. Nothing else to be said. I don't have a candle today. So I've got this. I got this for my birthday. Hope this was helpful. See you next time.